I can't, it's like I cannot divorce the two though. I wish I could, you know, either, I wish I could pick one or the other. I'm at that stage now. I just say, you know, fuck doing Deadpit, that doesn't matter. Or, you know, I'm just gonna drop out of school and do Deadpit, which I can't imagine doing. But you know, it's like, they are constantly colliding with each other, it seems like, in one way or another. Wow, this is gonna sound really fucking conceited and weird, but you know, like the id and the ego and the super, it's like my id is Deadpit. And I guess like the rational part of me is the counseling. You know, and like the little kid in me wants to do the Deadpit thing all the time. And the other side of me actually wants to fucking grow up and actually do something that I know matters a little bit more than Horror Talk Radio. Although Horror Talk Radio does matter.
Folks, and welcome to the March 28th edition of Deadpit Radio. I'm the Crip Kentuckian.
I'm Uncle Bill.
Uncle William! Boy! So this is a special birthday edition for me here on Deadpit Radio.
It is, you're old son of a bitch now.
No. I ain't old.
Oh, you're old.
Shut your ass.
It doesn't matter, we're both older now. But yeah, the interview we've got, I think that everybody is really looking forward to this documentary that's coming out. Lucio Fulci Remembered. It's not, well, okay, it's not really a documentary.
Whoa! Holy shit, what the what? You're not coming through it all. Say something.
Hello?
Your mic is turned down.
Well, you haven't got it plugged into the right thing, it doesn't look like.
Hang on a second. See?
Yeah, you'll get to see this a lot more than I think you originally wanted.
It was working earlier though. Was it, maybe it got unplugged?
No, it's not unplugged.
Comments?
Shit!
Tell us about your first encounter with the Deadpit show. Well, here's a lowdown on that shit.
Who are these guys? Like these weird, obscure little, you know, radio show Deadpit.com.
Yeah, I just found it felt really like underground. You
Yeah.
could imagine that they were in some mountain. I pictured these two rednecks in some mountain up in the hills
Sitting
in
in a
Kentucky
cabin
who
or
did nothing
something.
but just like watch the latest horror releases on old VHS or something.
For one thing, Deadpit are pretty much the innovators of that format, the horror radio format.
We're recording right now.
They look almost like a Kentucky Fried Abbott and Costello.
My nephew told me that there is a website out called deadmeat.com.
The secret, actually, to having a crisp voice, you have to have a crisp voice, is agua.
We like them.
Man, they are nice guys.
They're just down to earth guys. They're easy to talk to, like kind of sweethearts.
I've tried to tell as many people as I can. Every time I meet a celebrity or somebody, I'm like, hey, have you listened to Deadpit.com yet? And a lot of them have heard of it, and so I try to spread the word as much as I can.
I get all my horror news from Deadpit.com.
I got back to work and got on my little computer and shit and typed in deadmeat.com. Well, not a fucking thing come up.
And at the time I was like, what is this? I don't get it. And I just thought it was kind of lame and stupid.
We got a big guy like me, and you got a thin guy. And I kind of like the yin and yang of it.
I don't make a move without Uncle Bill and the Kentucky. Sometimes I like to say the Kentucky and Uncle Bill. Either way.
So I go on and type in dead shit, dead this, dead that, dead this, and I come across a fucking little site called Deadpit.
Last week on the show, I was saying something about we were looking for people to do book reviews on the show, and I said just fucking get her out. I said, yeah, you can send in a sample of your writing and a cover letter and your resume, and somebody did.
They'll say what they feel because they don't care. You know, if people don't like them, I don't think they care.
I said, if he's written a couple of redneck characters in there, I'm going to change him to Aaron and Wes. He said, that would be awesome. I said, only if he's got two really dumbass redneck characters, we'll call him Aaron and Wes. And he said, yeah, that'd be great.
So I said, well, shit, this looks interesting.
Hi, this is Lucky McKee, Director of May.
Hi, this is Bill Lustig. Greetings from Tromaville. This is Lloyd Kaufman, President of Troma Entertainment and creator of The Toxic Avenger.
Hi, this is Kevin Tenney, Director of Witchboard and Night of the Demons.
Hey, you guys, this is Felicia Rose.
This is Alan Danziger. I play Jerry in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Hey, this is Lori Cardell, Sarah from Day of the Dead.
Hey, this is Tom Savini.
Hi, this is Linnea Quigley.
This is James Bryan, Director of Don't Go in the Woods Alone.
This is Danielle Harris.
This is Angus Scrim, a tall man, a phantasm.
Hey, this is Sherry Moon Zombie. Hey, this is Tiffany Shepard. You're listening to Deadpit.com.
You keep listening, or I'll come over there and put my boot all up in your ass.
Welcome everybody to the first edition of the Deadpit. I'm Uncle Bill. Immediately to my right over here is the creepy Kentuckian.
That's right, I'm creepy as fuck.
We're going to be taking you through the year in review of horror films and all things horror related today.
And it's going to be horrible, trust me. I mean,
yes, 2005
was a pretty shitty year for horror movies. It was fun,
clusterfuck is a good word.
It was fun, though, because years we were always talking about what in the hell's wrong with people? Why are they releasing movies like this? And for the first show, we got to talk about basically everything that was wrong with the horror genre, and we let loose.
There's nothing I can say about that movie. I mean, that's a waste of fucking film, and I'm not sure who directed it. You know who directed that movie?
I don't remember his name.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter. That guy should be killed.
Which is, it's sort of
It was like all this stuff we'd been talking about to ourselves we had an outlet where we're like, somebody's going to actually hear this, you know, and we can bitch about
Maybe.
whatever we want.
Yeah.
And that was all it was.
People.
It was just us bitching incessantly for like 2 hours, I think.
And I said, what do you mean you have a internet radio talk show? I was like, what is this, you know? And he said, yeah, we do. It's called, you know, Deadpit, and you can go on there and look at it if you want to, Mom. But I better tell you before you do, the language.
You can't have any artistic
there's
vision.
There's yet to be a remake that I've seen that's been better than the original.
So, you know, you can stick these remakes
even
up your
can compare.
ass. Seriously.
My son is quiet. He's shy. He's reserved. Are you sure, Aaron? And it is. It's like a totally different persona on that radio talk show.
Most of the emails was hate mail first, right? Because
most of them, I remember most of the email. Yeah, we got it first. Was like, who the fuck are you talking like? Are you Deliverance or something? You know?
Yeah, they thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
I've never heard such broad accents in my entire life. I did not know accents like that existed. They are so strong.
I feel like if I listen to their show, I'm gonna be raped.
I listened to it for 5 minutes and just couldn't stand listening to the accents. And I think there was a couple of people from England. It's like, people really talk like that, you know. I couldn't believe it.
I'm used to it now. I wasn't on the first show.
No, I wasn't used to it either. When I first heard it, I was just like, are they putting it on? Like, do they really talk like that?
I think overall that accent has helped us more than anything else.
Definitely.
Because usually, and I hate to say this, but when people talk about horror movies, or sci-fi movies or anything, they always come across as a geek. And even though we are geeks, we're redneck geeks, so the redneckness, you know,
overrides.
Yeah.
It's disconcerting at first because you think, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to listen to this, but they immediately win you over because these are not dumb guys. They're silly, they're immature, they do all this funny kind of voices and stuff, but at the same time they know their shit.
I can't really imagine anything else being more fun than doing this stuff because I like the genre. So it's kind of like something you can do and not deal with the real world and all the shit going on. Just come in here and fuck around and talk about horror movies and interview people that you've watched in horror films your whole life. Yeah, that's the purpose, is kind of release and have fun. Right. Yeah. All right, yeah, we were sitting around trying to come up with a theme for the show, actually. And we wanted it to be a theme that was kind of based around all the Italian horror movies that we were watching at the time. So I think one of the very first things we did was come up with the drum part of it. And all Italian horror movies you ever see have a huge bass drum part.
It took about 5 seconds to
yeah,
come up with the drum part.
The drum part in all Italian horror films is always the same, just boom, 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 boom. And there's really weird keyboard synth that comes in later and all that stuff. But we also had this thing where we wanted to have something different with the bass drum, where it would hit and it would sound like something unique. So we had a bag of nails that's not in here anymore. And for each time the bass drum would hit on a 4, we would shake the bag of nails.
And I would lower the pitch a few notches, and it sounded like somebody was digging a grave. So that's how that came about. That was just all by chance.
Right.
We didn't plan it like that.
Just sitting around going. That's the AC/DC version, which turns into, just move it down, you know, an octave, and it turns into that, which we'll play here in a second, but it's, yeah. Add your falsetto singing into that.
And add echo to that. That sounds like a children's choir.
one section down there is Morehead State, where everybody goes to be social workers and business, I think business majors and stuff like that, MBA. And then this section over here is the Lindsey Wilson, which is the college that I go to, which is for counselors. I am working towards, it'll be a master's in mental health counseling. Now, eventually, I think I would like to, and I've been offered a couple of different jobs in the position of being a substance abuse counselor, and I think that I would like to, that's what I would eventually like to do. Because there's a huge problem in this area, and there's like so few people that have any idea how to deal with those, you know, people with substance abuse problems. Very, very few people.
When he was a baby and I was breastfeeding him, I was running back and forth between Frankfort, Lexington, and local meetings here trying to get the spouse abuse shelter established. And I would go to meetings, literally go to meetings. And I remember this so well. I would be breastfeeding him with a blanket over his head, taking notes of the meeting with the other hand. So his exposure to social issues and to global, really, issues occurred when he was very small.
I had a high school course in psychology, like the first course I ever had in psychology. And at the same time, I also had like a bunch of friends and that were having a whole bunch of different issues. Like one of them was gay and they're catching all kinds of shit for that. Another one was always one of those goth, suicidal types of people. It just all came at the same time, and I was trying to figure out, because they were always coming to me and we were talking about all this stuff, and it was just like, I want to do something, I know, to help these people, but I didn't know what at that time. And that class came and then it all kind of fit together. It's like, this is what I want to do.
He was a leader. He was, at a very young age, very much a leader.
And I just decided that never really left me as something I wanted to do. I decided that would be something to look into. And then it's been 2 years now, and I'm in the master's program.
Well, Creepy Kentuckian here in Pikeville, Kentucky at page 3. They deal in comics, games, movies of all types. Me and Aaron come up here a lot to look through DVDs and, you know, old videos and stuff.
I've always laughed at horror movies more than anything. Like, a few of them definitely scared me, but it's just entertainment. It's like anything else. I mean, to me, it's not any more weird than like American Idol 3 or 4 times a week or whatever it is, and it's just something else to entertain the audience.
Right here you go. The Legend of Bigfoot, which we've talked about many times on the show. It's one of my favorite Bigfoot documentaries that I've seen to date, and I would all recommend it for $1.99.
Horror fans are lifelong horror fans. They grow up watching these movies, and it's all about reliving your childhood a little bit. But you always find these movies along the way too that you just become fanatical about. And a lot of it though, like I said, it's about what you grew up watching and watching it over and over and over.
They feel like it's their calling, feel like it's something that they're supposed to do. And if by some chance it will also produce an income, great. If not, they may have to find some way to earn an income and keep their project going. So I think it's no, I don't think I don't think they've ever thought about the thing as a business.
Just the teenagers that go see a horror movie on a weekend with their girlfriend or something aren't going to like our show. You have to be a dedicated fan of horror for years to get the full impact that we offer, if you would say that.
Here you go, folks, the legendary Tater Sack Jason. He finally has a figure, and he comes with
a separate head, which is Jason without the tater sack, and his mother's corpse head. And this is just a classic villain, classic version of Jason without the hockey mask. And you know, it's the most frightening. I'm glad that people like it, you know, and it's fun for us to do. We love talking about horror films anyway, so it's awesome every week to just sit down and discuss, you know, our favorite hobby with, and to know that other fans all across the world are listening, you know.
I'll put it this way, I would not be hanging around CK. I mean, that's the best way to put it. If there wasn't some substance behind that shit, no. Just somebody that's overly like, oh my God, and you know, there's nothing behind it.
The website, I pretty much do the website by myself. So, and I think that's good. You don't have to pay anybody to do the damn website. So most of it I already knew, like I design all the sites, all of my sites by hand, like just HTML design. I don't use any programs or anything. Yeah, I have gone to college. Unfortunately, the community college down here, as far as the web administration program, they stopped offering the classes, so I have to take them online. I don't think a lot of people know that I design it. I don't think a lot of people really think about who designs it though either.
I've always known the guy's smart in certain areas. I'll say that. That'll be the disclaimer.
I sort of remember Gordon Saw, the WCW, NWA. He was a really good announcer. He's been dead for a while though, so I guess that's posthumously or humanly or whatever.
Posthuman.
Are
you trying to say posthumously?
Posthumanly. Hell, I can't.
Posthumanly? That's one of the funniest fucking things you've ever said.
Oh, shit. Well,
shit.
So there you go.
I gotta start using that now. Posthumanly. That person.
Hell, I don't know.
That person did.
These big fancy city words.
I've got it on the call. We're going to have a little barbecue. Hopefully we're not going to injure anybody in the process.
I've never used one of these light the bag deals.
It's pretty self-explanatory though.
They're very good friends. These boys are very close. Have remained close for several years. Now I can remember there was a time when they didn't like each other.
Really?
Yeah, when they were maybe 2 or 3 years old. You boys probably don't remember that. But your Aaron's mom and I were working in the same office downtown. And we'd try to get them together, and they didn't seem to want to be together, play together, talk to each other, or nothing like that. It was like they had no interest in each other.
They set us in there side by side, and we hated each other. I don't know exactly what went on. I can't remember, unfortunately, but yeah, the hate still lingers. Right?
Yeah.
And they were both just very, very quiet. Aaron was more talkative and much more precocious, I think, than Wes was in front of people. But I had a feeling that Wes was just as precocious behind the scenes.
But then we just left that alone, and over the years, they've grown to be very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, we always went to school together, but the next time we really started to talk was, I think we were sophomores in high school, and amazingly...
He actually went to Mountain Christian Academy for a while, though, because he didn't want to get beat up in public school.
Yeah. Topic of conversation that kind of brought us together was, amazingly, professional wrestling. We'd go to these really crappy wrestling events that they would have around here, and for fun, I don't know, we were dicks, but we would heckle all the wrestlers as they would come out and like see, because they can't really do anything. But you know, that was a really stupid idea because they all lived around here.
You can't handle it. If you can't take it, shut up and stand.
Your mom have any too much man for me. Did your mom have any kids for me, son? Hey, I bet your twin brother was an only child.
Ladies and gentlemen, today on Wrestling Challenge.
After that, I started going up his house more to watch pay-per-views because he's one of the few people that actually could get the pay-per-views on demand stuff. And I don't know, we just, from then it was one thing after another. You know, pretty much hung out all the time.
Let's take the shit out of it.
Could you take the other snares and just see if that's what it is? Before we did the show, to pass the time, we would play music ourselves, just us two, and we created our own persona, and the band was called Hell Lord.
Hell Lord's just an amazing band from Dusseldorf.
Yeah, it was a kick-ass German metal band that we followed. We actually have all their CDs, but they're really hard to find. If you can find one on eBay under, $300, $400, pick it up. It's good.
It's kind of like we were trying to project that we had been a band for like a long time, like
Right.
a haggard old metal band that never got any play. And the other one, we'd always say we played and we were really huge in like Finland and England and and all these places.
Dusseldorf, Germany.
It's like
They played rock and roll the way it was meant to be played.
Fast, loud, and out of control. That's how they played.
And evil.
We were pretending to be any number of bands that didn't make it from the 80s. Yeah.
And it was fun to just fool people, I think, is the thing. Like,
Because we weren't talking our voices.
no, we were
That was the
talking
key. That's what started all that with the falsetto.
The falsetto voice.
We talk like this. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm straight out of Germany. I don't know about you.
We're gonna kill you. we had this one thing where somebody asked us why we talk like that. It was
our
supposed to be the
accent.
German accent. Yeah, we were like, that's how everybody talks in German.
Right.
All I know is that they come along every night. When we kick up our heels and we shock and jump.
We have only agreed on a few bits of music, and of course the music they make is Hell Lord. It could grow on me, I guess. I'm not sure it will.
I'm dancing with the clouds. I must be losing my mind. I'm dancing with the clouds. Smelling formaldehyde. I'm dancing with the clouds. I must be going insane. I'm dancing with the clouds.
Dancing with a corpse, yeah. I thought, man, it is so creative just to think about that, and and I know people have done that thing. We had two local guys here that got their daddy up out of a casket one time to just walk him around and drive him around the rest of his property and stuff like that. It's sort of like Dancing with a Corpse, I guess. I don't know if that was the inspiration for that song or, yeah.
I think we actually had like one autograph request.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sake, there's a band called.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, there's a band called Bathtub Shitter out. So I mean, that's not like what we were doing is not a far cry for somebody to believe.
This is the Strand Theater in downtown Prestonsburg, Kentucky. And it's the theater where we both went to see films as kids, both horror films, non-horror films. And it's always great to come back in here and reminisce, I guess, because it looks pretty much the same as it did when we were growing up. Yeah.
But yeah, this is where we saw everything. I mean, any horror movies, and they got all the horror movies that used to come out, especially in the 80s.
In the 80s boom, there were horror films almost every week here. It seems like we were 7, 8 years old, and we would come in by ourselves. We were dropped off by our parents.
A lot of these movies were always, you had to be 18 to get in, and we'd always talk our way into it somehow.
So
yeah, they didn't card anybody.
No, that's the cool thing about a small town, and they just, as long as you're paying money, you're good to go.
But I think you probably agree with this. For us, like the films that were milestone films for us came out on video, and I'm pretty sure that's how it worked.
I was probably like 6 or 7 when we first got a VCR.
One of the first movies I ever rented was The Goonies, which we talked about, but horror movies came a little later. Like, I remember renting a Psycho sequel, Psycho 2, and Friday the 13th, and at that point, like, it was horror movies. Like, that's pretty much all I wanted to watch. It was the gore thing, too. Like, even as kids, we were like, oh, it's going to make me sick, you know. Because my other friend, he had a weak stomach, and some of these movies would seriously make him throw up. When he saw it, we would watch some of these Faces Death movies, and he would vomit for real.
When we grew up in our younger years, I mean, that's all we did was rent horror films and watch them. But I tended to, you know, since then I've kind of grown away from it. I know Wes has always been influenced by them, and he's always been into that. So in the later part of my life here, though, I haven't really kept up with it. But as kids, yeah, we were always watching them.
Around here then, like, you didn't have like Blockbuster, Movie Gallery, any of the bigger chains. It was these mom and pop rental stores that would carry some of these really gory, obscure films, and we would check them all out.
We are in downtown Martin, Kentucky. This is where I grew up. The town where I was born, the hospital where I was born is about half a mile down this road past this bridge. So yeah, this is the location where the old New World Video used to be. And we used to come and rent VHS tapes when I was a kid in the 80s. This was the place that you would go. This is the only video store that was in this town at the time.
Then the VHS came out, and all these little video stores popped up, and that's kind of when Aaron and I got involved in it, because we could go and pick out the movies we wanted to see, which is something we couldn't do before. We would have like 5 or 6 sitting there, and we'd go through and we'd pick out the ones we really wanted to see, and then probably the ones we would see next time. Yeah, I mean, there'd be movies that I had seen in the past that would all of a sudden pop up in the video store, and I'd say, gotta get that.
I remember him just trying to scare the shit out of me. I don't think he ever really, he was not one of those people that tried to explain to you that things weren't, he really wanted to see you jump. He was one of those, you know.
He and his dad would watch them and become totally engrossed, and his dad would critique them too. You know, as he was watching them, his dad would kind of critique what was going on in the movie, and Aaron would be so attentive, you know, to everything his dad was saying.
I mean, the most memorable stuff that I have from my childhood, oddly enough, well, probably not oddly enough, it's probably why I'm doing this now, in some ways, is from horror movies.
And I would tell his dad, when you take him, because his dad would take him for the weekends after he and I divorced, now when you take him, please don't show him these horror movies, because he comes home and he's looking under the bed and in the closet, and he's developing neurosis, I think. And he said, okay. Aaron would come home from his dad's and I'd say, what'd y'all do this weekend? Oh, we rented Psycho. It was so good. There's no hope.
Dads in general are not overly emotional people, and normally you got something like they work on cars, so you become a mechanic. There's something there that normally 1 or 2 things that they can relate to you with, because to them it doesn't seem threatening. It's not an emotional thing that they have to get involved with. Horror was one of those things for my father. It's a lot of other things for a lot of other people, but it just so happens that that's what it was for him, and that's probably why I look at it so fondly now. There's that bonding aspect that we had. And I hope that one day, if it's not horror films, that it is something else, don't really care what it is, that bonds us that way.
It is Friday, January the 13th, 2006, and you're listening to
Deadpit. www.deadpit.com. Welcome to the Friday the 13th special live broadcast.
Well, the first Friday the 13th show that we did got us most of our audience at that time. I would say that was the first show where we got well over, 200 people checked out the show, and that was early on. That was like third show maybe.
I've noticed in a lot of the films you do scores for a kind of sparseness to the way that you put the music in. Is that purposeful?
I couldn't tell you. Some people tell me I overscore sometimes, but I do like it to be sparse.
Harry Manfredini, who I'm a huge fan of his scores,
music, yeah.
and just the nicest guy, one of the nicest guys. Still to this day, probably one of the nicest guys we've ever talked to.
Yeah.
We had an hour-long interview with him on that show. We broke it up into two parts, of course, but it was just so fun. I mean, we were both like on cloud nine, I think, after that.
We just chatted away for about an hour, I think, something like that. It was probably one of the better interviews I've ever had. These guys were ready.
He was actually in the studio recording music, and he took the time out to do the interview with us, and just to tell us about how he came up with the score for Friday the 13th. I think that was the interview where I knew that, I was kind of addicted to doing interviews after that.
And he actually did that.
Yeah, he did
that on the phone.
Yeah.
First of all, they seemed to know what they wanted to talk about. They knew about me, but there's a sense that they really love it. You know what I mean? They're not interviewing me like a reporter or something. They were like really into the genre and the music and stuff like that, and they were interested. Which they're also great listeners. A good interview with someone who really listens really well. So.
Yeah, that was definitely the show where people started to take notice. I mean, even if they didn't like the accent, they were amazed that we could get those people to do those interviews. So, yeah.
We want to try to start getting more interviews. So, just give us an email, too, if you want to see anybody on the show or hear anybody, that is. deadpit@gmail.com, and we'll see you at the theaters.
The people who really like this show and like the Dead Pit, I mean, these guys are like their buddies. It's like a community thing.
Nothing that I've ever really done or liked has fit in with this place. I mean, I don't like country music, I don't like NASCAR, I don't like horse racing, I don't like hunting, I don't like fishing. I like metal and horror movies and just none of the stuff around here that people are really into. So yeah, it has occurred to me. And I grew my hair out long, and around here, it's not like in a city, and even in the cities I've been to in Kentucky, you grow your hair out around here, and people will just stop and blatantly stare at you, and treat you differently, and just the hair. It doesn't even have to be anything else. I mean, I could be dressed up in a business suit and have this hair, and people would. It's only like 2,000, 3,000 people in the whole town, so you're gonna know everybody, yeah, and everybody knows everybody's business. And I'm amazed that more people don't know about this and I think we've kind of tried to keep people from knowing about it because it would be a stigma. There would be a stigma around us for doing something like this around here. I really believe that.
Oh, people have been here for generation upon generation. I can trace my family back to the early 1700s. I have a large amount of cousins. Almost all the families are probably related to each other. We tend to call each other cousins even if we're not officially cousins. Once you're in the family, you never get out. We're a very clannish group of people, I think. We stick together very well, especially against the what we would consider outsiders, which are not necessarily people who move in here from somewhere else. The outsiders are more people who are here to change our way of life. So we welcome you openly, and our hospitality is very full until you want to change what we do. We come from an area where guns are very prevalent. There's a lot of hunting. Kids learn from a very early age how to shoot, that kind of thing. It's not as well accepted in a lot of places.
I'm not going to, I guess, belittle the people that do, but it's just not something I'm into. I don't think I could. When you can go out to the supermarket and, you know, buy a hamburger by the pound, as many pounds as you want, why do you need to go out and, like, you know, kill? And I know people do that, but I just never did understand that.
You can't really hate something unless you know all about it, I think, you know. And I went through the hunting and the fishing, and it just wasn't my thing. I don't purposely like to kill things that I'm not going to eat, or I'm not starving to death, so, you know, I didn't see the point in it. But I'm in the minority around here, definitely, yeah. But yeah, I grew up with that was the lifestyle, because like I said, you can walk out on your, you know, back porch and walk up a hill and go hunting. I mean, it's not like you have to drive anywhere. That's how people still live around here. You just walk out and you go up and you sit next to a tree and you wait and kill something and bring it home and eat it. And for a long time that was a good thing to do, because people around here are starving to death. I don't know if you've noticed, this is a pretty poverty-stricken area, you know. There's not a lot of industry, there's not a lot of any factory work or anything like that. And that's how people survived. My uncle used to trap, you know, he would, muskrats and anything along the creeks and the rivers that he could trap. He would make those homemade bamboo-style cages and trap these animals in anything that would come down so they could eat. It wasn't for fun. It wasn't because he was fucking, you know, wanted it on his wall. It was because my family was starving to death, you know. And that's not the way it is now. It's a lot better now. I don't want to give the impression that everybody down here is starving, but some are, yeah.
So we do have people who think it might be better to try other ways to do things, and we sometimes don't take kindly to that. So, you know. You'll see a lot of churches. I think we're pretty diverse religiously. There are a lot of different denominations, a lot of different traditions in the church. It's a great social place. You go as families, you go you know, to get to know each other. We take our religion seriously, I think. Yeah.
Most people around here that are really religious and go to church don't have anything to do with the horror genre, because it's violence and, you know, nudity and all the things that are immoral. But I was never that much, never gave it that much thought, like that for some reason I would be chastised in some way for watching this stuff. I never thought about that much.
I had concern because I know what people were saying and thinking at times, but that I knew how wrong they were.
You know, you've got some really religious people around here, and yeah, they probably think a lot of horror fans are, you know, just the devil in disguise. Maybe I have no idea.
If living and talking about and working with the horror pictures and the kind of horror pictures they work with is what makes them feel fulfilled, then you support it, and you at the same time allow other people to maybe open their mind up just a little bit by doing that.
Religion, back to the point though, religion around here is first and foremost above anything else to a lot of people, and they don't accept violence, and they don't accept the genre because of that. This would be like somebody's nightmare that was from around here that was young. And I've had people walk into my room and walk back out. I mean, this is not my room, but I mean, I've had people walk into my room and just back out of it, you know. And,
out of what? Like?
Well, it's kind of like this. There's posters on the wall, and they would just, you can tell, you know, when somebody walks into a room, if you've ever walked into a slaughterhouse, it's like the same kind of look on their face, you know. The thing is, it puts in front of their face things they don't want to have to deal with. Death. It's all death. Yeah.
It really is all death, isn't it?
I mean, look at all this stuff on the way. That's all related to death somehow or another. Zombies. You know.
Death scares the piss out of me, but I can see how, you know, you could want to go to these films and watch it to kind of ease your mind about your own mortality or something.
Yeah.
All these people in these pictures that are getting ripped apart by zombies are having a much shittier time of death than I will. So.
We refer to Prestonsburg as the Star City of Eastern Kentucky. And as it is the Star, then we're the gateway to the Star City. So this arched is a gateway, a conceptual gateway to our attractions. The primary industry centers around the coal industry. The railroads are part of that. All of the highway networks for coal truck drivers are part of that. The coal mines themselves, both deep mines and strip mines, are part of the coal industry. The coal that is mined here from volume as compared to many years ago, there's a little difference. One, in the volume of the coal. Number two is the means of extracting coal. In the 20s, 30s, and 40s, even 50s, and somewhat of the 60s, the deep mining was the method of coal mining. Strip mining during the 70s, 80s, and to somewhat today is another approach to mining coal. And the marketplaces are still deriving millions of tons of coal from Eastern Kentucky. The labor force is not as great in the actual mining of the coal, but the actual extraction of the coal is still pretty much up to par.
It's gotten worse actually because the coal has stopped. There was a huge coal boom. There's places like Martin County Coal and there's another one, Piedmont or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of it. And all these coal companies were coming in, and this was going to be the big mining town, and they were going to build it up around it. And of course, they ran out of coal, and everybody left, and all the people lost their jobs. And it's like Allentown type of stuff, you know, steel towns, same thing, but with coal. And here we are. This is some deep shit for a horror discussion, isn't it? I mean, what the? There's only two things that really people that make independent films should know this. That people like us expect from those films. If you're gonna make a slasher film or a zombie film, it should either have a ton of gore in it or a completely different story. A completely different story is really hard to do, and not many people do. So a lot of people just go for the.
You gotta say
gore.
nudity, even though it's weird with a woman sitting here.
Well, I actually didn't think about
Slasher
it.
movies have to have nudity. I mean, that's the formula. You know?
Not male nudity.
God no.
No. Even though we were talking to a guy that was in a movie Madman that had yes, male nudity.
There's a couple films that we've seen where apparently they started to get avant-garde and they decided that they were going to show as much male nudity as they would female nudity, and those films never get good reviews from us. Because I don't know.
I don't like seeing dongs.
Yeah, it was one of my favorite pastimes.
Yeah. Like 3 or 4 times a week we try to do it.
3 times a week. We're supposed to try to do it every day, take a walk.
Yeah, walk around.
We're supposed to try to walk
up the hill, around the graveyard, down Riverside.
We would do things together. I spent more time with him than he'll give me credit for. We did. It was always fun stuff. I was always trying to think what we could do to have a big time, and so we did a lot. We traveled. We'd take him to movies when he was just less than 6 months old. You know, we'd go out and eat, set him up on a table somewhere. You know, he knew about being out around people, that kind of thing. Took him to movies from the very beginning. He loved movies. You know, games. I guess we played some games. We'd wrestle. We played little league ball, baseball up until he got tired of that. The family. It's over the years. This is a family that has always been into humor. When the group gets together, you hear a lot of laughing. We've got other creative sort of folks and entertainers in the family, and that's just kind of what happens. He didn't choose to live here. I chose to bring him here, and I had the opportunity to bring him up the way it ought to be brought up. I thought I did that. To this point, I'm not sorry of anything we did. I'm probably just a little more open-minded than most Southern Baptist deacons you'll ever meet.
Well, this is about a year before Deadpit. It was January 05.
January 20th, 05.
And it all happened so quick. And that's probably what, helped me get through it. Because if it was something I had to think about, you having the surgery for a couple of weeks.
Same here.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to be there, for him and, let him know that how much, I loved him and stuff. And it was a horrible experience to go through. And, I still think about it, often.
I had a 90, 99% and 100% blockage in 3 major arteries. Most of the doctors said I should have been walking around, yet I had worked that very day. Yeah, the effect that has on you is each day is more precious.
Yeah, camera's rolling. Uncle Bill, you can look back and forth in the rearview mirror sometimes too if you want to. That's always a good shot. Action.
Man, I don't know. I like Madman. I think it's the best Friday the 13th rip-off movie.
Yeah, you were damn mind. Don't you remember John Russo's Midnight?
Well, he had emailed us on MySpace and just asked if we'd be interested in meeting up with him and talking about his movies. And we met up with him at KFC, of course. And he told us about the movie in a little more detail, and we just did it. To me, I thought it was awesome that someone in this area was making films, because it's the first I'd ever heard, of him.
What the hell did they? Yeah, I know. You're always bitching about something. Caught us off guard about how remote the location was. That's the one thing that was really unexpected. And we knew we were going someplace like
out of the way.
Out of the way, but shit, this was like really out of the way. When we were driving up there to Hyman, this motherfucker's gonna kill us, and nobody's ever gonna know. Because we were like, the name of his movie is Backroads, and he's not kidding. That's as advertised. Because, it was weird, because I was really thinking to myself, I was really considering the fact that he made that short film just to kind of lure us in there, and he was going to get us up there into this cabin and kill us. That's how remote this place was. This guy's a genius. He's made a short film to make us think that, he's a legitimate director, and then he just wants to take us up there and rape us and, mutilate our bodies. I've watched way too many horror films, man.
Camera's rolling. Action.
I'll tell you, B, I hope this shortcut works out for us.
Buddy, fuck you. Don't you think I know what I'm doing?
No.
There's not many people that I know of, nobody I know of that makes independent horror films in this little area around here. And we just wanted to try to support him. And we thought it would be, not to be all altruistic, we thought it would be good for promotion and stuff.
Y'all use a ride?
Sure thing.
Sure good.
Well, come on.
I'll handle it.
Told them this week they're getting the close to the iconoclastic status because they got their own movie now, and I saw them in one today. I saw them in a movie today. Backroads. Okay. Leaves a lot to be desired as far as, but their part was the best part. These guys, when they come into the movie, it's like the time when I watched Cold Mountain and Renee Zellweger showed up. All of a sudden, this movie means something and has some activity in it. It has something. I think back to that sex scene where there was absolutely no movement, okay? And I thought, what the hell? I don't watch a lot of that kind of stuff, but I thought,
yeah, right.
Well, here we go. This is not, this is just like 2 mannequins there, okay? And then, they go on and it's like really dead. But when these guys come in, there's some life in the movie.
I got this. Oh.
Do you always write the same thing?
Sometimes. I have like a little thing that I came up with. Say something like hang in there and have a little noose. Something, yeah. But yeah, I like CKs too.
Live life extra creepy. That's awesome.
So yeah, we don't just sign our names, like some little funny saying on there or something.
Yeah, and that'll make a neat little collectible or some guy that wasted $15 or whatever.
There's horror fans, and then there's horror fans. Okay, there's people that watch horror movies and go out and see the horror movies, and then there's people that fucking collect horror movies and go to conventions and buy the bus and buy the posters and yada yada yada. And that's a different level. I mean, it takes a certain person to go from that to where you just watch it to where you actually go up and you're interacting in it, you know, and you want to do something in it. Then that's completely different. Yeah. You got the original Phantasm poster signed by the director, Don Coscarelli.
The movies I've collected since early 2000.
These are like the 3 Leatherfaces, like from the first 3 Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Because he did a little sketch and stuff too, which I always thought was really cool.
The talk show host from the opening scene of Dawn of the Dead.
Heidi Kozak from Friday 13th 7 and
Gates of Hell poster, which I've talked about many times on the show.
Savini, Lloyd Cardille, and Joe Pilato, who was Rhodes.
Wow.
This is just because I love Cronenberg.
See, Dream Reaper, hackmovies.com.
Just for nostalgia's sake. Put the old Vestron video.
But you don't have it hanging up?
No. That's like the iconic scene from that film. Since I had one of Zombie, I don't have the original Dawn of the Dead poster, but I do have the original Day of the Dead.
The poster is extremely rare.
It's a mobile for children that you hang above their crib when they sleep at night. It's got the little creatures from the gate on it, swing around.
I don't know what the children would like that.
Yeah. I guess we could relate some of our experiences that we had at, we went to the Horrifying 2004 weekend.
Yeah, which was a big Dawn of the Dead reunion.
He knew I was a huge Romero mark, so he said, in Baltimore, you know, they were having this huge, you know, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead reunion. Do you think you might want to go to it? And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like a reunion? I don't understand. Like,
in 1968, George Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. It became the classic horror film of its time. Now, George Romero brings us the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all times. Dawn of the Dead. Night of the Living Dead has ended. Dawn of the Dead is here.
But I never will forget walking into that convention room for the first time, and all these people that you never would have thought, I never would have thought I would have met in my life, and like my favorite horror film of all time, you know, being Dawn of the Dead, are all just sitting around. It's fucking surreal. It's the only thing I can say, you know.
When there is no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
And it was just to sit beside George Romero. I mean, I've watched this guy's films for, you know, since I was 5 years old with my dad and stuff. It was as mind blowing. I mean, the looks on our face. We've got the pictures of when we were taking Romero. It's like, I don't know, deer caught in the headlights kind of stuff. We were just stunned. I don't even remember what I said to him. I don't even know if I even said anything to him.
Yeah, it's just that was the big catalyst for everything else, I think.
And next week is the Fright Night Film Fest in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, one of the rare convention appearances by Deadpit.
Yeah, so it's special that way. That's why we do it like that.
They don't seem to be doing it specifically for the attention. You know, they do it because they have a passion for it.
Look where I'm at. I'm with Deadpit.com. That's horror radio. There's a whole horror community out in LA where everybody goes and hangs out and everybody knows one another. And it's like anyone that's in the community kind of like runs through at one point, and everybody fucking knows the Deadpit guys. It's like for a while there, it was just like me talking about them right here at Cajun. It's like everybody knows these guys. And it's the strangest little phenomenon that like this little .com, you know, radio, like an internet show has gotten so big.
She can carry me. She do whatever the fuck she wants to me.
Don't move.
No.
Wait.
No.
It's a different
Why save some of the show? We care about, our best friends are the people with the biggest hearts. The bigger your heart you are, you're our better friend. And these guys seem to have big hearts. They're good guys.
And they ask the right questions too.
They know how to do that.
You know,
It's the easiest, gentlest, coolest interview we've ever had.
And then everyone else sees it and goes, that's a cool effect, and they just stick it in their film.
Right.
With no idea of why the original guy used it, just because they think it looks cool, and then it becomes, and then like almost instantly.
And actually what happened was I emailed them and said, guys, I'm going to be at a film festival in Indiana, which is next door to you guys in Kentucky. If you're free, come up and see me, because we had never met at this point. And they said, oh, we can't because we're at this film festival. I said, oh, of course, that sucks. I said, I can't believe 2 film festivals an hour and a half apart, and they have them on the same frickin' weekend.
Immediately emailed back and was like all gung-ho about doing it. He's like, yeah, I can do that, and I'll drive up there, right after that, and I'll just screen the shit. And we're like, all right, We just figured he'd come in, show the movie, maybe do like a Q&A about it and leave. That was what I thought. I mean, that's kind of like, and he fucking came in, like, called us up, and like, you want to go have breakfast? And I was like, yeah, that's fine.
My main reason to come here was to see the guys and also to see how the film screens for an audience, that the audience it was made for.
I was blown away by it, sitting here eating breakfast with the guy. And then he wants to sit at the table, our table and sign stuff. So he's sitting there the whole weekend. And it was never to a point where he was like, I'm not comfortable with this, or I got other stuff I have to do. It was a very natural kind of thing. Like he just kind of wanted to be there and kind of see what the whole convention thing was like. Because I don't think he ever did that many conventions. If he did any, I don't even know. But even people didn't know who he was. They thought he was just some guy sitting there that was selling shirts and shit for us. Like, you ever seen Night of the Demons? Yes. He's the guy that directed it.
Oh, God, I got to get the hell out of here. I got to get away from them. No, they've been great. I mean, they're fun guys. They're nice. And, it's funny. They're a lot younger than me and totally different backgrounds, but we have pretty similar tastes and enjoy, I've enjoyed their company. So... Of course, I'm heavily medicated. That might help.
And then he went out and had dinner with us. Just fucking one of the nicest guys ever. Even if he wasn't a director of anything that I'd ever known, he would have been one of the nicest guys.
We were talking about on the show, it's really post-convention depression, where you're at this convention, you're at a table, and people are coming up to you the whole weekend and treating you like every other celebrity that's there, and then you have to go back home to your regular, day-to-day lives. So it was sort of depressing there for a couple of days, but I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, I can see why people go to all these different conventions. Like some of these little known independent people that you always see them in all these different conventions, because you kind of could. I can see how you could get addicted to being treated like a star, or treated above than what you actually are, and you have to actually come back home and mow the lawn and stuff.
Conventions to me, the more I go to them and see how they operate, the less I like them. I mean, on just a guest business level, I mean, the fans and the friends and stuff is always great, but the more I see people getting taken advantage of, the more it just pisses me off. It's really starting to turn me away from the convention.
I never can understand other performers, and I won't say stars, because stars are in the sky as far as I'm concerned, but how they can deny fans or the people who adore you and love you or enjoy your work or whatever. I always say that, they say, oh, I don't want to give you my autograph. I mean, unless you're at a convention to make some bread and all that. Then they'll take the money and give them the autograph. But I say, without the public, without the viewers in a way, shape, or form, where would we be? We wouldn't be. We just wouldn't be. So we should every morning say thank you to the universe that you're still there and they're still wanting to be interested in whatever it is that you have.
Wes? Yeah. We should have brought you a flyer for our radio show.
What's it called?
Deadpit Radio.
Called what?
Deadpit.
Deadpit.
Deadpit. I'm a creepy Kentuckian, and There's Uncle Bill.
The creepy Kentuckian, and all this time I thought it was the senator. But never mind.
Essentially what you're doing is you're paying, and a lot of these people I think are doing this, are paying people to be nice to them. People that would never generally even fucking look at them, you give them $20, and it's like they have, and these people have this expectation too, that if you give them $20, you have like 3 minutes or whatever, you be nice to me, you know. It's almost like prostitution. It's like paying somebody to do something they wouldn't normally do.
All right, well, I had an idea how to get rid of these two guys. One, let me just see something here. I've always wanted to choke somebody to death with their own fucking arm, and it can be done, believe me. Now, with a man this size, you've got to take a machete and shove it up his ass until it comes out of his eyeballs. Then take your thumbs, put them in his eyes, crack his skull in half. There you go.
Yeah, but you know what? I bet you go across the street and buy a puss from Sean Miller, then you buy ass raping.
Do I have to buy an ass raping? Wouldn't he just ass rape me?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, would.
I don't think anybody that I go to school with knows about the show. And I'm fine with that. Because honestly, like, I don't think that they would literally understand what I was doing anyway. Do I think they'd be supportive of it? Probably. But it's one of those things where, why? I mean, it's just, I just don't. Now, if somebody was to ask me about it, I'd be honest with them about it. But it's not, it's just leave that by omission. You know, it's not something like, why are you dancing around in an M&M costume in a video? I honestly don't fucking know the answer to that question. You know, it just seemed funny at the time. It's not something that I gave a lot of thought to.
Come on and dance with me, dance with me. Come on and dance with me, dance with me. Come on and dance with me, dance with me.
This picture here of him, as I dressed him up, I subjected him to many costume changes. And sometimes on Deadpit, you'll notice that he can get into costume. So he had an early start at my putting him into costumes. And if you can see the expression on his face in this picture, he is not a happy camper. He was not happy with this little costume that I had made him of a clown. He was a little clown there. But he was so unique that he actually was the only male in a tap dancing troupe in kindergarten. He has never let me live that down. Remember when he would dance with a cane, Kelly. It was so cute. He was like 3 or 4 years old. He had this little cane, and he would dance with it, and he would sing, and he would do the soft shoe stuff. He'd be like, "Hello, my honey, hello, my baby, hello, my ragtime gal."
Yeah, it's because I was forced to. No. People do a lot of stuff with that between those ages.
You were not forced to do it. You just did it naturally, and that was one of the reasons that I encouraged you to do the tap dancing, was because you had this energy.
As I remember,
you wanted to expend it.
As I remember, it was like you could take tap dance and get out of gym, and that was like the rationale behind me doing that. Like, that's it, yeah. Let's go ahead and get to the fan mail portion of the show.
Let's do that.
We got a huge question here that I'm going to skip this because seriously, it's almost like a page long.
Yeah, and we warned you people.
Yeah.
That's sad.
We can't. Yeah, that'd take like 20 minutes to read that.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't sound like an audio book.
But anyway, most of the fans we get, most of the time they'll write to us and say things like, "We're really happy that number one, you didn't have to dress up like whore hosts to do the show.
Dress like Frankenstein,
yeah,
Dracula,
or any of that. Number two, that you tell the truth about the review in the review section, because they're so used to people that are pushing these DVDs, you know, have some kind of stake in them, and we don't have any stake in the films that we review. We just, if we like them, we like them. If we don't, we don't. And the other thing is that we just talk, you know, plain.
As plain as we can.
Yeah, they are like our outlet, because there's nobody else around here to talk about that stuff. As much as they respect what we do, you know, we respect the fact they give us somebody to talk to this shit about, you know.
Yeah, hello, you're on Deadpit Radio. Happy Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th, guys.
And who's this?
This is Dean from Australia.
Oh, alright.
I think the Deadpit guys understand the importance
that fans play in making the genre a success, and they themselves, being fans, understand that to do a show, you don't talk down to the people who are listening to it. You talk to them at the same level. At the same time, you don't have to talk up to them either. It's a very level playing, which you very rarely get in the media, and you get it with Deadpit. These guys who don't think of themselves as any better than their audience, and they understand I'm a fan, you're a fan, and now they even have a segment on the show where people can ring in, which is a great idea.
It was weird to think that someone in Australia has a Deadpit shirt and wears it proudly. I mean, that's just bizarre.
The funny thing about them is that they're so comfortable with each other, and then when they talk to a guest, they're very, very polite, which I guess is the kind of, southern in them. I'd like to see them be a bit lunatic.
Cool. Well, man, we're going to try to take some more phone calls and talk about Friday the 13th, but thanks for calling. Definitely call again.
Yeah, really thanks for calling from down under.
Yeah, thanks for the support. And
it was great talking to you guys. Thank you for all the support you give us as well.
I love Alex in Norway, the Norwegian fan, just because of his accent. He's a cool guy, the way that he talks about horror films.
How does he talk? Can you do it, Alex?
Yeah, that's his catchphrase. He's like I said, he's like the Norwegian Borat. He's like, have you guys seen Rogel Diodato's body count? All right, yeah, it's good, yeah.
All right, it's Alex from Norway, Alexander, Anthropophagus the Beast, if you will.
That's right. Yeah, we saw you come up there. It's our first international call that wasn't from Canada. So.
All right. So I'm the first European caller, or what?
Definitely.
I believe so, yeah.
All right. This is, Deadpit history.
Yeah, we're making history right now.
All right. So, what's up, you guys?
My name is Alexander Selgstad. I come from Norway. I'm a horror movie fan and a Deadpit supporter.
I'm curious, though, since you're in Norway and we don't really get to talk to a lot of people in European countries, give us some of your horror film recommendations. Recent.
Do you mean from like a Norwegian perspective? If we have Norwegian horror movies? Or
just anything. It doesn't have to be Norwegian necessarily.
What do you think is more popular in Norway?
Well, I think it's just the same as in America,
Yeah.
Everybody, the kids, they love fucking Saw and Hostel and all that shit.
They're like real characters, Uncle Bill and Creepy Kentucky. And it's like when you've heard to a couple of shows, it feels like you almost know them. And that makes it also more personally to listen to them.
Well, we've said on the show, where else can you hear that? Can you hear a Norwegian guy talking to
two guys from Eastern Caribbean?
Yeah.
I get aggravated at Wes sometimes because he'll give me this whole sack of stuff to go mail. Okay, he don't get up early enough to go mail it himself. So he give me the whole sack of stuff to go mail. Hey, give me the money. Give me the money to go. But I'm over there filling out forms going to Norway, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, but wherever, Egypt. And I think about this. We're here in Prestonsburg, Kentucky, Floyd County, just right down home, and we're having communication with fellas all over the world.
Yeah. There's people. Norway. Would I ever meet anybody from Norway without? No. Australia and Scotland and all these places. These people. No. There's no way without just this.
Do something different instead of.
How about how to survive a Fulci film?
How would you survive one?
Well, they have to tell us that. Can't be bullshit. All right, goddamn. Act like a fucking bitch about it.
Buddy, fuck you.
It conflicts in almost every way I can imagine. And it conflicts in time. I mean, okay, Wes never really seems to think this is a big issue, but if you've got 4 movies to watch every week, that's like, at the least, that's 6 hours, okay?
And there were occasions where I was sort of pissed at him, but he was taking a test or something like that. What was you doing? You were taking some sort of test at the college, and I had to start the
College.
I had to start the yeah. But here's
I was
the thing.
taking my exit exam for my bachelor's.
Right. Some bullshit like that. Okay. But I made that like, I think we did the show sort of weird. I think we did the call-in portion first. That's what we were going to do because I knew you were taking the test. And he wasn't here. He didn't come in until about 10, 15 minutes later. And I just made up something like, Uncle Bill's got like some explosive diarrhea. He's in the bathroom right now and he'll be back out. So I just try to, stuff like that. I mean, you just try to, you got to.
Yeah, that 10, 15 minutes, I know that was rough on
10,
you.
15 minutes.
Answer the phone by yourself.
Talking.
Seriously, like the guy was fucking pissed off because I missed like 10, 15 minutes of a show because I was taking my exit exam. I mean, it's like the exam you take to graduate. Everything hinged on that one test, really. The fact that I would even come back there and do the show on that same night, it's just, so okay, so it conflicts with that in a time issue sometimes to a greater degree. But I often wonder like how much it does conflict value-wise with, you're talking about a profession that's made up of mostly liberal people, which is a good thing. But, I mean, just on a moral level about saying all the language and stuff that I say, I mean, I do wonder about it sometimes. I mean, will this ever come back and bite me in the ass? Like any other hobby, that it's fun to do. I mean, it's definitely the one thing that I know for a fact that I could do it without even, I can do it in my sleep. I mean, horror films and stuff like that, that's the easy shit. I mean, that's the stuff that's like a no-brainer for me anyway. That's always come really easy. Now, the counseling and stuff, I mean, people really might not believe this, but that's one of the hardest things to try to figure out and do well and ethically, legally, professionally. That's a whole different ball game. I mean, you're dealing with people. It's not like you're working with things or, you know, you're not working with putting factory stuff together. If you break somebody, that's a whole different deal. You're introducing stuff into somebody's mind that they might not even been there, might not even be aware of, and could possibly do damage. Makes reading the news off a piece of paper seem pretty fucking slim in comparison, you know?
For the folks that don't realize out here, what are we getting ready to do, Uncle Bill?
Well,
supposedly, because we need to commemorate this, you need to tell them because you're the one that got it done.
What we're getting ready to do is call up John Carpenter's agent and hopefully get an interview with John Carpenter himself, and we're both ready to have a massive fucking stroke because we're going to have to talk to the man himself here.
Yeah.
Aside from George Romero and maybe, well, just George Romero for me. I mean, this is the biggest interview.
There's nobody else I would be more nervous to talk to, but we're going to try to do it.
We're going to attempt it.
This guy, you know, is an idol of both of ours as far as filmmaking goes in his movies. It was like, I hope to God we don't have a bad experience, you know, because it's something that you're going to remember the rest of your life. If he's a dickhead or if he's awesome, you're going to remember that too, but you don't want to remember your idol as being an old grumpy asshole, you know.
Hello. Hello, is this Ryan?
This is John Carpenter.
Oh, hey, John.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Reasonably all right.
Well, that's good to hear.
It's great to talk to you. I'm Wes on here.
Where are you from, Wes?
We're from Kentucky, your home state, I think.
Whereabouts?
Prestonsburg. It's eastern Kentucky.
Prestonsburg. I'm not familiar with that.
It's close to Pikeville. It's like the farthest eastern part of the state.
Oh, brother.
But John Carpenter just said hello, you know, and
you can literally see like our testicles, the sin.
The interview that we have for this week's show is one that I really honestly thought we'd never get, but I'm fucking thrilled to death that we did. We've got a two-part interview starting on this show with John Carpenter, legendary director of Halloween, The Thing, The Fog, Assault on Precinct 13, Escape from New York, everything you can fucking ever think of that was ever any good, except for that, we'll be talking about.
I think the fans were absolutely shocked that he did the interview because, like we've said many times on the show, that was the one guy I don't think we would be able to get. I want to move on to Halloween real quick.
What was some of the influences on that movie, on writing that movie and coming up with the story?
Well, it was an assignment, that film, and that was meaning this distributor said he had some money, he had a money man, and he said, look, I want to make a low-budget horror movie about babysitters who get stalked by a killer.
It was definitely, up to that point, it was the most listened to show by far. You know, I don't know about percentage points or anything like that, but yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I remember.
Okay, what is the one major goal you guys set when you started Deadpit? And if you have reached that goal, what is the next goal you have set for yourselves? And this is from our good buddy and moonshine aficionado Zombie.
Right.
I think that I met my major goal when we actually started this was to get a bunch of free shit, which is like DVDs.
Being quite honest, that was our goal. It was to get all the studios to send us DVDs to review, and that has happened.
Now the next goal that I have not met yet. I've come close in regards to what I want to do, but I've not interviewed George Romero yet, so that was my other big goal.
Seriously, that there comes a point, you're probably not going to believe this, where you get to be established enough that people expect stuff from you. Like in the beginning, nobody expected shit, and that was the best part about it, you know. And then it gets to the point now where if you actually don't put on a excellent show, or if they don't like something, you know, you're almost like a standard. It's weird. It's kind of like they expect a certain degree of quality, and if they don't get it, they don't have a problem bitching about it. And with the internet, you don't have anybody there. You know, it's kind of like that transference stuff. There's nobody there to tell you that, to give you any kind of feedback or like, I'll challenge you on that. It's just people randomly bitching at a screen, you know. They don't have, it's all their inner demons and stuff coming out.
Yeah, that's what makes the internet so great.
Yeah.
I'm as I say, usually the interviews I do, I'm helping them more than they're helping me. I just do it because anything to encourage any kind of independent art, any kind of independent information that we can get, anything to preserve the internet, anything to help the internet remain democratic, because the internet's the last democratic medium. So anything that we can do to, I didn't know who the Kentuckian and Uncle Bill, I don't even know what the name of the show is. I don't even remember being interviewed by them. But, you know, I do it all because, A, I want to help to try to do anything I can to help independent media, and B, any publicity for Troma is good.
A lot of people are like anonymous in the internet. They have whatever, Hellraiser 2, whatever, you don't know, right?
He is one of the most incompetent directors I've ever seen, but he kind of embraces it. Like, he kind of knows, and he kind of sets out to make the films anyway. And
they are really jealous.
I don't think there's any accurate way to judge success on the internet yet. The internet has not disseminated to such a point where you can accurately gauge, well, because this many people visited this site, we made such and such amount of money.
There is a side of the internet in general, of websites and online magazines. It's very powerful, and it is a site what has no power at all.
I think the future holds potential rewards for all these sites, because it's not going to go away. It's only getting bigger.
But I don't think that the internet community has any power, for example, to kill Transformers. You know, that is the point. Like, if you really spend 30 million to release a movie, or 40 million in advertising, the internet can write whatever they want, and they still make $250 million box office.
I'd be interesting to see if the guys, you know, decide to keep doing Deadpit, because I know this has got to be it's a major undertaking for them to keep doing this show every week. If they're still around in 3-4 years, they'll be huge. I mean, look how far they've come in just a short amount of time. I keep thinking, boy, they've been around a while. No, they really haven't.
No, it was about a couple years ago when we started Deadpit. There's a couple things we wanted to do starting out. A couple of big milestones that we both had.
Tongue-based Tiffany Shepis was one of them.
Right. That hadn't happened yet.
Yeah, that, unfortunately,
I don't know if that will happen.
Did not come to fruition for us. What was the other one?
Interview John Carpenter.
Interview John Carpenter.
That was a big one.
Get shit for free.
We did that.
We did that. We completed that objective. But there's always been something that I've talked about on this show since we've been doing this show, and since people have been asking, what are some of our goals for the future, and what are some things that we'd like to do that we've never gotten to do yet.
Yeah. All right, we got a minute. You want to go ahead and try to call him?
No. I'm scared.
I'm scared too. That's why I want to get this shit over
I'm
with.
fucking scared over here.
Is this loud enough, by the way?
This is definitely loud enough. Right here is perfect. Like.
Okay.
That's great.
What are you?
Have you started yet?
We're going to start right now.
Technical difficulties.
This is the show. This is the. I don't know if it will be the season finale of the Deadpit Radio, as far as
Yeah, we're going into syndication after
Yeah,
this.
we are. The George Romero series of shows begins tonight. Right on, Will.
We got George Romero on here. We're going to be interviewing him.
The legendary George A. Romero, director of such classic films. We could go on for days. Let's go on. Let's see how far we can go, okay? Night of the Living Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
The Crazies.
Martin.
Day of the Dead.
Land of the Dead.
Bruiser.
Season of the Witch.
Creep Show.
There's always Vanilla.
The Dark Half.
Monkey Shines.
Diary of the Dead.
But that ain't even out yet. You can't use that.
It's made.
All right. Two Evil Eyes.
Night Riders.
God. That's obscure as hell right there. I think that's it, isn't it? What the hell's left? You said Creep Show.
I don't know.
Hey, George, this is Aaron and Wes from Deadpit Radio. I'm good. How are you?
It's great to finally get you on the show. We've tried for a couple of years now, so it's awesome to finally get to talk to you.
The thing I was amazed about that film, aside from the film itself, was actually that you were able to let bikers drive through the mall, and
there was
Well,
a
that's
vehicle
a-
at one point too.
That's the whole other thing. Man, do you believe they let us do that?
No, I mean today you'd be probably put in prison for trying to do something like that.
Oh man, forget about it. Today, for Jesus, forget about it. Security. I mean, I just got busted on the border trying to get back into Canada here. Forget about it. You could never do that. Everybody was naive. Oh, a movie? Sure, great. It was unbelievable. I mean,
I was like, to me, it was like a do-over for like how much of a friggin' complete fanboy mark I was when I met the guy. Because, when I met him, I couldn't even string a sentence together. So I was like, here I got like a chance to interview the guy and make up for looking like a complete idiot. 'Cause
Yeah, there's really nothing. That was the big thing left for me to be a part of, was to interview George Romero. I don't give a shit what happens now. I really don't care.
I often talk to him about if we continue to grow, you'd be making some pretty decent extra money, doing the show. But originally, it wasn't about making any sort of money or anything. We didn't ever expect to make a dime from doing something we love to do, which is just bullshit, basically. So, the long-term plan is just it. As long as we're having fun doing it, keep doing it.
It does get harder though. Because it's, as the responsibility of the other increases, you have to do something about it. It pulls at, the one pulls at the other. And it's getting harder to balance the two. As one goes one way, the other has to go, Okay. Deadpit, I've thought about this a lot, actually, amazingly. I've actually thought about something a lot. But I was trying to figure out, because if I had my say, and there's something that I wanted to do that I thought I could do it and I wouldn't have to worry, about, very free of worries about, other people's supervision and working with other people and stuff like that. It would be almost like a no-brainer to do Deadpit if it could be done as a career, because there's no responsibility to it. I know how to do all the shit perfectly. We've worked it out now to a point where I think we're pretty good at it. and people seem to like it. But that's exactly the reason, the more I think about it, that I don't want to do it if I had my choice, because it's not a challenging thing, for one thing. And in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean as much as the other for anybody. For me, for people I'd be working with, for this whole area. I don't think it does.
And as long as they're fun, as long as you're having fun doing it, it's like whether you're being a monster, being chased by a monster, preaching, working in a coal mine, behind a camera. If you're having fun, it's worth it. Simple as that. Because that's all you got at the end.
That's great. They're funny looking. These guys are funny looking.
I was probably 4 or 5 years old when I had my first real nightmare that I can remember. And we lived in a 2-story camp house there in Wheelwright. And I know I was asleep in the second, but it was so vivid I still remember it. I'm 59 years old. So I remember that as I went out to look over my porch, I saw this huge gorilla coming up the steps. It came, and I knew it was coming to get me. And for some reason, the only place I could think to run was to go stick my head in the commode. And so I headed that direction. And about the time that I was going to dive in the commode, I woke up. You know, the gorilla wasn't there, but that was a nightmare for sure. And then CK and Uncle Bill.
Yeah, this is scary, right? The one guy is like, obviously it's Harry Knowles is his big idol, so he tries to eat his way up to Harry, that he sits soon in a wheelchair. And the other guy is almost a woman, so I think he needs that skin dress from Silence of the Lambs to be happy for the rest of his days. So, but he will never get a girl if he looks like this. So, yeah. No, I'm not surprised anymore what they think about me, to be honest, right? So
awesome, just like me, down to earth, cool. You know, that's who I'd like to hang out with.
No, I'm so enamored with the Kentucky and Uncle Bill, not just because of this, but I keep in my drawer at all times, I keep this beautiful, full-color photograph of Uncle Bill right here and the Kentuckian, because every once in a while I have to ask them very important questions.
I had heard about Deadpit, you know, from going with a lot of fan sites, a lot of movie genre sites, convention invites and things like that, and you see their name everywhere. And, you know, get a kick out of them because I know they're fans, and, you know, something like Deadpit, they're not a big media thing, so they're not just out to do some superficial thing and then go away and move on to the next thing.
It's just amazing. The two boys from Prestonsburg, it amazes me, you know, small town, you know, have done what they've done. And people from all over the world calling into the show.
They were good guys. It was really easy interview to do, and I finally get to meet him in the flesh, of course. You know, and it's kind of nice when you can associate a name and a site with a couple of faces. Really good guys, and really enjoyed doing it.
When we first met them, I didn't realize who they were. I didn't know what was going on. You know, and everybody said, "Well, these guys go all over the world." That's kind of surprising because I had no idea. Then we got talking to them, everything, and I realized why they do go all over the world. They know what they're doing, and they're good guys. That's the first thing you have to be a good guy.